The last 2 weeks on the cobbles have been building up to the Tour of Flanders. The course has been altered again for this year after it was heavily criticised. There is now no more than 12 kilometres between a climb and the finishing circuit is gone, meaning that the Koppenberg comes just 40k before the finish. With rain predicted for the weekend and plenty of contenders, we could be in for another classic edition of the race. Here are Cyclingnews' top 10 riders to watch at the Ronde van Vlaanderen. Fabian Cancellara may not have taken a victory this season, but his monument record speaks for itself. The Swiss rider has finished on the podium in the last 10 monuments he's competed in, which includes 2 victories at the Tour of Flanders. Cancellara was unlucky to miss out on the split in the bunch at E3 Harelbeke, but his performance at Milan-San Remo shows that he's on good form. The defending champion will have a tough battle on his hands, but he's likely to be the one dishing out the hurt. Peter Sagan has been gradually improving at the Tour of Flanders and finished second behind Cancellara last year, after he was distanced on the Paterberg. He hasn't looked his usual dominant self this season, but the Harelbeke and Depan victories in the weeks running up to the race shows that he doesn't need to be on top form to win. Sagan doesn't have the best of styles on the cobbles and will have to ride like he did at Harelbeke if he hopes to make the top step of the podium. Last year's race was one to forget for Tom Boonen, after he hit some road furniture just 19 kilometres into the race and saw his Classics campaign ended. The run-up to this year's event has hardly been smooth sailing either. He's looked out of sorts and injured his thumb at E3 Harelbeke. Gent-Wevelgem didn't go to plan either after he was caught behind a crash. You still can't count him out as a contender though, and he'll be looking for a record-breaking 4th Flanders victory this weekend. Sky has suffered some bad luck in Belgium over the last 2 weeks, but Geraint Thomas has been flying. The Welshman rode a very impressive E3 Harelbeke, driving the move that dropped many big contenders. He was unlucky to be caught in a crash at Gent-Wevelgem, where he looked to be on for another great result. Thomas came through the crash relatively unscathed and should be well prepared for Flanders. He took 10th at the Ronde in 2011, but looks like he can significantly improve on that this year. Greg van Avermaet has finally been given a chance to lead his own campaign at the Koppel Classics. The Belgian will be BMC's sole leader on Sunday, giving him the backing of the entire team. Van Avermaet finished 4th here in 2012 after winning the bunch sprint behind the 3 escapees. He's had a decent build up to the weekend, with second at Omloop Het Nieuwsblad and a strong showing at Milan-San Remo, but he'll have to take it up a notch if he wants to improve on 4th. Jurgen Roelandt managed to nick the final podium spot in last year's race after going on an all-or-nothing attack. He looked to be out of it when he was dropped on the Paterberg, but rode hard and caught Sagan before the finish. The Belgian, who grew up near the Flanders course, says he wants to ride for victory this year. With a strong field lining up, it will be a tough ask, but with the unpredictability of Flanders, another attack like that could see him make the podium again. Frustration had begun to mount for John Degenkolb in recent weeks, after bad luck saw him miss out in Milan-San Remo and E3 Harelbeke. However, the German turned that into aggression and came up trumps at Gent-Wevelgem, out-sprinting Peter Sagan and Arnaud Démare. Degenkolb was finished in the top 10 at Flanders once before, but his form makes him a decent outsider bet for victory, and he's already shown that he can get one over on Sagan in the sprint if he needs to. The last few weeks have told us that it's futile to write off Alexander Kristoff in a race like this. He's already shown that he has the legs for the climbs and the long distances after his huge victory at Milan-San Remo. Unlike many of the Flanders contenders, Kristoff has been in action at the 3 days of Depan. However, he did the same last season, nearly winning it, and it didn't affect his chances. It's possible that he could fly under the radar once again on Sunday. Sep Vanmarcke had a bit of a rough ride at the Tour of Flanders last year, after getting involved in one of the many crashes with just under 100 kilometres to go. The Belgian managed to get back onto the main bunch, but was eventually dropped again and finished 29th. He's been performing well this spring, with a number of top 5 finishes, including Kuurne-Brossekurne and E3 Harelbeke. Provided things run smoother than they did in 2013, Vanmarcke could be a dark horse for victory this weekend. The last 2 weeks for Niki Terpstra have been almost polar opposite to his teammate Boonen. He's been highly aggressive every time he gets on the bike and looks to be riding extremely well. The Dutchman notched up victory at Dwars door Vlaanderen, a podium at E3 Harelbeke, and could have taken the overall classification at the 3 days of Depan, but for a broken pedal in the final time trial. With Boonen's form relatively unknown, Terpstra could be the team's best bet for victory on Sunday.